David Ralston was born in South Dakota and spent much of his childhood in the Midwest before his family settled and made Ogden their home. He graduated from Ogden High, then came to Weber State.
Well, it was a great school, and it was a personal school, and I've gone to others since Weber, and a lot of times you kind of get lost in that in a large school. Weber was really kind of personal and smaller class sizes, and got to know your professors, and the professors taught, where in some schools it was the graduate students that were teaching you in that. So I thought it was a great education.
Soon after finishing his associate's degree, he received his draft notification and was called up for duty. He opted to enter Weber's new ROTC program, so he continued working on his bachelor's. While at Weber, he met Stephanie Smith at a fraternity sorority exchange, and he was interested in finding out more about her.
We were playing flag football in the front yard, and there was an exchange, and I noticed her, and right away thought that this was kind of a special person, so I got my buddies to line me up with her. Well, then we dated for a couple of years, and we got married just before I graduated. I graduated in March, and we were married in January. And it's just one of those things where you think back on it. The apartment that we had was $40 a month furnished. And it was a $40 a month furnished apartment. Believe me, it was pretty bad. But still it was our own place, and it was kind of fun. So we got married, stayed there for a couple of months, and then she left with me as we went off on my first assignment. And my first assignment was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
He was commissioned a second lieutenant and spent much of his early career developing his skills as an Army officer. After completing his military obligation, he was accepted into the MBA program at Penn State. But his superiors recognized his potential and tried to convince him to stay in the Army.
And they came to me and said, stay another year. Let me give you a command. Experience that and then leave. And so I agreed to that, and I took my first command of soldiers. And I did that for a couple of years and never went to Penn State for the master's. I continued in the service. So maybe it was that point where it was, what do I want to do for the next immediate time? And we felt, both Stephanie and I, that we were doing the right thing by staying in the military. And now it's 30 years that we've been here. Only thought we would be here a couple of years. So I think it was that probably defining moment of what I really wanted to do, and that's now changed the rest of my life.
Given even more opportunities to lead, he was not only respected by his subordinates, but gained the trust of his superiors. In 1992, he assumed command of the 3rd Infantry Division at Bamberg, Germany. And following that assignment, he completed an Army War College Fellowship at Harvard University. While serving as Assistant Chief of Staff for Operations in Kosovo, he gained a new appreciation for the impact he was making on others.
I was in Bosnia, and I had a young college student who was an interpreter, and we were looking at a mass grave, and it was in there excavating the bodies and out of this mass grave, and it was huge. And we started talking, and she said every night during the war she would go with her parents down into the basement, and they would pray that the Americans would come, because they knew only America could save them. And yet, being a part of that, you know that there's people that you don't know their name, you'll never know their name, they'll never know your name, but you made a difference in their life. You were a part of something. And so your individual role in that might have been very small, might have been insignificant, but when you added it up as a whole, it was a tremendous force for good.
As his assignments grew in complexity and responsibility, his commitment to his family never waned. He credits his family for supporting him in all his assignments, despite their numerous sacrifices. Currently, General Ralston serves at the Pentagon as the Army's Director of Force Management, where he is responsible for shaping America's response to the new global challenges.
This job is by far the most challenging that I've ever had. It is coordinating now and developing the size and the shape of the Army. And as we enter a new era and a new threat, the Army's had to reform itself. We no longer have the Cold War that we were developed for or built for. We now have a much more difficult challenge with global war on terrorism. So my job now is trying to transform the Army into a force that is better equipped and able to do the global war on terrorism.
Weber State is proud of Major General David C. Ralston and congratulates him on being one of our most distinguished alumni.